Good morning, chat. My name is Penbu, the programming, puzzle gaming, and music making VTuber on Linux, and today we are going to be, well, it's not exactly programming. It is coding. So we are, I think it's a rare time where we can actually merge the technical and the music aspects of my streams together. Today we're working with LilyPond. Some of you may know this as basically you can think of it as LaTeX, but for sheet music. We are writing sheet music in a text-based format. It's not actually LaTeX, but the concept is similar. Python, welcome in. Hopefully you can find your cover there. But if not, it sounds like if it's unimportant, then it should be fine, even if you don't. Anyway, today we're going to go through the tutorial, and I do have an idea, if we go through this, an idea of what some of my scores we might want to consider doing as an exercise. Whether this is going to have any practical value, considering I have MuseScore, I don't know. Maybe there was an idea I had for a music video that this might have this might come in handy for, because it would allow me to automate certain things. But who knows? We'll learn this first. I haven't read through any of this really, so we'll see how good this is. I also haven't tested this, so we'll see how good this is. Yeah. I'm sorry for the delay as well. I've been feeling a little bit out of it. Started eating a little bit late. So I guess we're about an hour later than usual, but that's okay. I don't expect the stream to be too long, so I do have stuff that I need to do before tomorrow. But yeah, we'll see. Extrado, welcome in. So, starting from the manuals here, manuals there. Actually, maybe we can go to the introduction here. Maybe not. But anyway, yeah, LilyPond, basically, this is a really old program. I think it predates MuseScore even. And so their goal was to have sheet music that looked very human, but you can make it with a computer. Because if you ever seen I wonder if I can find it. If you ever seen engraving done by humans, what they do is they have a bunch of punches, or right. It would be a lot easier if I can just pull up the video for this one. One moment. I sent this in a Discord somewhere. But yeah, basically what they do is they punch out. I don't really punch out. They emboss metal with oh, here it is. Yeah, it's called engraving because you're literally engraving you're engraving it into the metal. That's this one here. So as you see there, that's a tool that they use to score it, to make a groove. Now they'll also have another tool to make the lines. And then you make these little indents there by taking a tool and then taking a hammer to that tool so that it makes the little indents. And you train to do this, and you have various techniques to make it look good and whatnot. And so that's what this program is trying to do, to make it look very, very human, despite it being made by a computer. In a similar manner to how what LaTeX does for typesetting for documents. Okay, so we're gonna go here, because it does say start here first. Text input. Let me know if this is too small to read. I can always make it bigger too. So, compiling music. LilyPond is a compiled system. It is run on a text file describing the music. The resulting output is viewed on screen or printed. In some ways, LilyPond is more similar to a programming language than graphical score editing software, which indeed it is. If you look here at the side, I can probably Open that there. Alright, this is what LilyPond looks like. It looks a little bit complicated. But we'll learn how to make all that. By the end of this, we should at least be able to decipher some of this, probably. But this would be the outputs. And yeah, you can do some pretty complicated stuff with this. You do not write music by dragging notes from a graphical toolbar and placing them on a dynamically refreshing score. You write music by typing text. The text is interpreted or compiled by LilyPond, which produces beautifully engraved sheet music. People accustomed to graphical user interfaces might need to learn a new way of working, but the results are definitely worth it. Oh, I gotta fix my tracking here a little bit. That's not good. My phone stand, the legs, or rather the stand part itself that comes out, is broken, and so it's being held up by a couple of wedges, and it's not good. Maybe I should consider replacing this. I found it in one of my sorted spare parts bin, all bent out of shape. Well, at least you found it, I guess. Hopefully you're able to bend that back into shape. Maybe. I'm maybe just gonna have to put up with that and hope it doesn't fall. No, that's gonna fall. One moment, I gotta fix this. I don't have a case for this, and I can't have a case for it anyway because it would get in the way with heat dissipation. What I have with my, I don't remember if I showed this off during, no, I couldn't have shown it off during one of the handcam streams. Basically, I have my tracking phone strapped onto a damp cloth, or a damp microfiber cloth, so that it won't get so hot when it's running, because it does, if you let it run without that, it does get warm, and leave it running long enough and it might overheat. I don't know how other people do this, because I haven't heard of anyone else doing this, and I think they just leave their phone out. I know some people, I think, might have dedicated cooling systems where they have a fan behind the phone, but Mr. Welcome, innovative, yes. Water cooled in one way. Let's try this again. I really should consider an alternate placement for this this phone, because I know one of the problems that I've had is that whenever I look down at my second monitor, it doesn't really pick up that, or rather, it shows me as closing my eyes, which I am not. But because of how it's positioned, I kind of understand why. Okay, well, that's probably going to do it. If it's not your primary phone, pop it open and install better heat dissipation. I mean, it isn't my primary phone, but that also means popping it open, which I'd rather not do. Okay, where were we? People accustomed to graphical user interfaces might need to learn the new way of working, but the results are definitely worth it. I'm accustomed to graphical interfaces for music, but I'm very much accustomed to text for a lot of other things, so I think I'll be okay. And particularly if we consider the parallel to LaTeX, then this is absolutely fine. We present a quick overview of our text input. It's not as complicated as it sounds. Don't worry about understanding every detail in these examples. Our beginner documentation covers everything at a much more gradual pace. And it is as simple as ABC. Notes are encoded with letters and numbers. Special commands are entered with backslashes. So the commands start with slash or backslash, and the letters are notes. Numbers are durations. So actually, we can see if this this will actually compile. So I do have a thing here. What is this? Text input.ly. I think .ly is the LilyPond. Yes, it is. Okay, very good. So we can do. I'm gonna move this over here. Time 2 4. So it's a time signature / clef base. So that's base clef there. I got C4 CGGAAG2. Numbers of durations. So 4 being the quarter notes, and I assume that extends until you get another thing that says otherwise, like so. And it seems like it's smart enough to figure out where the bar lines would be, because you have a key signature, or sorry, you have a time signature, and you have note durations, and normal music will you should be able to figure out where bar lines end based on how much of the bar you've already taken up. So in this case, you're saying you have 2 quarter notes per bar, and you already have 2 quarter notes here, so bar would land here. All textual music formats start with Helmholtz notation, I guess. I can't say I'm too familiar with that, so I will take your word for it. Helmholtz, that's too. I can't read that. Helmholtz, okay. I gotta figure out a way to make YouTube chat bigger without, or YouTube chat bigger specifically for stream. On my side. Okay. So we have that, and then I think we can compile this using LilyPond text inputs.ly. I'm just guessing here. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Text input.pdf. Hey, look at that. Well, that does seem to match. It's not quite as oh, actually, no, maybe that's just a rendering artifact when it's zoomed in, and there's this little thing at the bottom too. You can probably disable that, I'm sure. The original description of the bells of Visalia also mentions format. Alterations are made with different names. The add -is for sharp, or -i, not dash. The hyphen there is just for omission. Add is for sharp and es for flats. These are Dutch note names. Other languages are available. LilyPond figures out where to put accidentals. That's a whole lot of thing there. Okay, we can add another staff here probably. Relative C. Well, we don't know what these are yet. Key C minor, which I guess it needs to know so that it knows which accidentals to do. Or no, actually that's just the that's the key signature. That makes sense. G. E S C prime. So what are we looking at here? E. So this is G, and then I guess this would indicate a slur. And then we have E, and then C, as a high C rather. And then we have ES for flats. I'm not sure where the flat. Oh, right, because it is an E flat because it's already part of the key signature. It would be nice if I didn't have to. It would be nice if we could just figure that out by itself. But I wonder if this relative C double prime has anything to do with that. D, F, G, I, S, B, minus dot. Add articulations. So the dot, I guess minus dot would be the staccato then. You can see that there. And then we actually only want the slur to go up here. Okay, we'll see what that compiles to. And we should still have it here. Okay, very good. So relative C. How does it know to use common time? Maybe it knows to use common time if you don't. Maybe this is the default if you don't specify a time signature. That would make sense. And actually, hold on, something is wrong here. Because these are half notes. That's not right. Oh, right, because I still had half notes here, so we actually do have to put a 4 here to reset things. So it seems like this, it would probably be a good idea to find a way to reset everything in between the staves. But I'm sure they'll probably teach that afterwards. So what do we have here? So we have IS on the G for sharp, and then the ES on both of these for flats. So the B flat here, and then the, can't see that. Well, I'm gonna put that over here. So you have the ES for the flat, but it's already flat because of the key signature, and then you have the IS here for the sharp on the G, and then ES again for the flats, and then G, because it's not a sharp, it gets the natural. Because in the same bar, the natural extends until the end of the bar until it's overridden by something else. And then the ES for the B flats. Now it's interesting that there's a actually no. I was gonna say interesting that there's a courtesy accidental, but that's not actually the case because it does have the key signature has a flat in it, which means the B would be a flat normally, so it has to have the natural accidental on this one because that's just a B. Yeah, I would like for this to have a mode where you don't have to put in the accidentals, but we'll see if that's an option. And then pop music. We have put chords and lyrics together to get a lead sheet, like that. I wonder what these are. These might be what's reset things and groups things into different parts. Yeah, we'll give that a shot. Chords. C1, M7, F2, 7, C2. Relative C, I still don't know what that is. G2, ES8, and then we have slur to C4, ES8, F8, ESD, C, whatever that is, we'll find out. C2. And we'll compare this to what the output is. Add lyrics. You are the sky and my rain. I don't know what song this is. Okay. We'll go ahead and compile that, and hopefully it compiles. Very good. And that does match, I think, what we have here, so that's good. And interestingly enough, it does somehow know where to put the lyrics, but I guess it's I guess it would be space-based, right? You have a space and it goes to the next note. Okay, so let's break this down. What do we have? We have chords on C1. So C minor 7. So that's the M7 there. Where does the 1 come from? F2. Oh, so C would be that one, sure. F2, F being that, and the 7 is that. Oh, no, that makes sense, because the 1 here is a whole note, so it takes up the entire bar. And then the 2 here is the half note. And so it knows to put this in the same bar because it's also a half note. Okay, that makes sense. Right, because you add extra punctuation for syllables in sheet music. Yeah. So for, at least in MuseScore convention, I think this is followed in a bunch of other places too. You have, as separators, you have spaces, and then you have the hyphens for between syllables in a word, and then you also have the underscore to extend a syllable at the end of a word. Okay. Orchestral parts. The input file contains the notes of a piece of music. Score and parts can be made from a single input file, so that changing a note always affects the score and parts. To be able to include the same music in multiple places, the music is assigned to a variable and name. This is good. Being modular is good. So we have horn notes equals all this stuff. And then we have apparently a multi-measure rest here. And then we have this there too. Oh, let's see what this... I guess this has no input yet. Because... Or no output yet, because we haven't... Because all it's been doing is putting it onto into a variable. So they deliberately picked a monosyllabic example to start with. Yeah, that makes sense. This variable is then used in a single part, here transposed with condensed rest, spanning several measures. So you set score.skip bars. That is, I don't think you see that anymore. That is old notation. And normally you'd have, I can pull up MuseScore here. There's got to be a way to change that. Just treble clef is fine. So modern notation would look like this. You have this long bar here, and then this is the number of measures to rest for. Not sure if I'll ever get the hang of transpose notation without actually using a transposing instrument. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. I don't think have I? I don't think I've ever played a transposing instrument that wasn't in octaves. But I think writing for transposing instrument, I would definitely just do it in concert pitch and let the program do it for me. But for playing, I don't think it's much of an issue, as long as you don't have perfect pitch or anything, where your sense of pitch is going to mess with the notes that you read on the page. The concept was really simple. Wrapping my head around it from the semi-unique position as a person is mind-melting. Yeah, it can definitely be a lot. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this out. I'm going to assume that that's a way to create the different part or different to reset the staves. Horn notes equals relative C. I still don't know what this relative means. Time 2/4, so we have a 2/4 time signature. R2 times 3. So R is rest here. So it's three half notes, I think is what that means. R4, that's another rest for a quarter note. F8, an eighth note at F. A, C, I, S, that's a sharp. C sharp 4, that's a quarter note. F, E, D. And bassoon notes equals relative C, clef bass, R4, D, comma 8, which I don't think we know about yet, but it might be, the comma might be the low D if I'm gonna guess that. F, G, I, S, 4, G, B, B, S. I am interested in the alternative notation because IS and ES is not quite intuitive to me. A8, EF4, GD, GIS, F. Sounds like I'm spouting nonsense. Fortunately seems to work the way it needs to with the tooling I've made without any additional logic to account for it. It's good. And we have set score.skip bars equals hash t. Condense multi-rests. I don't know what the hashes here mean. Or what the t means. Transpose FC. So I think this is transposed from F to C. I guess. I don't know which way that goes. The horn notes. Oh no, that makes sense because is that the correct way? I always get this thing backwards. Because the horn, assuming this is the French horn, is a transposing instrument that's a fifth lower than what it reads. So it sounds a fifth lower than what it reads. So a C is actually an F. So I'm going to assume this is sound and then written, and whatever that ends up being. So concert and then written, and then the system can figure out what that means. Yeah, it's transposed for an F instrument. The same variable can be used in the full score here in concert pitch. Well, let's go ahead and try to compile this, see what we get. Fatal error, failed files, what do we have? But it did compile, so this looks correct. It looks a little bit different from what we have here, but that might be due to other things. Okay, and then we can add another one. Combine staves in parallel. Ah, okay. So we don't actually need this then, in that case. New staff horn notes. New staff bassoon notes. And then because we don't transpose this, this is all in concert pitch. Processes die when they are killed. Most of the time. Sometimes they live on as zombies. I don't think it's supposed to be that low. Did I miss a bass clef somewhere? No, bassoon notes does have a clef bass. So why is it down low? Why is it down that low, rather? Actually, I'm missing something. Hold on. No, I'm not. Hold on. Is that correct? These don't line up. R2 times 3, R4, F8, CIS 4, F8D. Ah, I misspelled the clef, that's why. That makes sense. And that's why it failed, because it was misspelled. So this looks correct now. Very good. We realize that many users find this way of entering music a bit odd. For this reason, we have written extensive documentation to help users beginning with learning. The learning manual is the best place to start, as many questions are answered before they come up. Occasionally, new users are unnecessarily confused by some aspects of LilyPond's behavior. Please read this manual before doubting whether LilyPond is working correctly. More in-depth information is available in manuals, and Ben Lemon, LilyPond user, has created a range of video tutorials on his blog, which are aimed at new users. We're not going to go through those today. I'm gonna hope the text is going to be sufficient. Easier editing environments. LilyPond is primarily concerned with producing top quality engraved sheet music. Creating a graphical user interface would distract us from its goal, however. There are other projects aimed at making it easier to use LilyPond input files. Some editing environments include syntax highlighting, automatic command completion, and pre-made templates. Other programs actually provide a GUI which allows direct manipulation of a graphical score. For more information, see Easier Editing. So I actually have one of those installed, because I figured just in case Vim didn't work. The one that I think most people use for LilyPond is Frescobaldi, which I had attempted to start up and it's not starting, so maybe actually it doesn't work on my... I had just installed this and didn't try to run it, so I might be missing something. But yeah, oh no, this is just Kate. I didn't know Kate could do this. Didn't know Kate had a preview thing. Interesting. Yeah, kind of easier editing. Frescobaldi is the one that a lot of people like to use, and I think it also has it might possibly have playback playback support for MIDI. I think you might have to attach it to a MIDI interpreter, but I did see in the list of dependencies that it does support MIDI something or other. So it probably has that sort of capability somewhere. But yeah, I think that's the one that a lot of people use, but there are also a few other ones. Here I am just using Vim, because that is what I use. And then just compiling with the LilyPond's compiler. It's good enough for me. It's what I do with LaTeX too anyway. Okay, so we can go... We really need better navigation here. Because you can go to easier editing or download, but what happened, you point me to learning. Should probably go there. We're gonna go ahead with split HTML, why not? So installing, I've already have this installed, so I don't really need to go through this. Maybe one big HTML file. Yeah, so we don't need to go through this. It goes through installing Frescobaldi. I'm going to just completely skip that. And we already do. I have been running this with command line, so that's fine. Should probably shower. We'll enjoy his shower. Quite interesting that there's a version number here, which I have not done, but. Tutorial: compiling a file. Compiling is the term used for processing an input file. Output files are generally PDF, MIDI for playing it. Oh, it actually does support exporting to MIDI. Interesting. And PNG for online use. That could be useful. This could be very useful actually, because in the thing that I was planning for the potential music video, PNG would be very useful. Just put that into an editor of some sort, or run it through FFmpeg or something. I'm gonna make a new file. I'm gonna copy this in here. Tutorial to was from yesterday. We don't need that. Fork ocular tutorial 2.ly .pdf. Yeah, so that is exactly what we expect, I think, from that. Notes and lyrics in LilyPond must always be surrounded by curly braces. The braces should also be surrounded by a space unless they are at the beginning or end of a line to avoid ambiguities. They may be omitted in some examples in this manual, but don't forget them in your own music. For more information about the display of examples in the manual, see how to read the manuals. I think I will okay. Interesting. Why isn't that up front? Simple notation: pitches, durations, rhythms, rests, tempo marks, clefs all together. LilyPond uses lowercase letters for pitches. Note names in all examples in this section use the Dutch naming system. White piano keys are C, D, E, F, G, A, B. However, LilyPond supports many different language schemes like English, fixed Do. See note names in other languages. The letters C through B denote pitches in the small octave below middle C. Adds the apostrophe or comma suffixes to indicate higher or lower octaves. Okay. And here is a scale starting on middle C and an arpeggio. So go ahead and copy that. And where do you see that? So we have, wait, can I click these? You're comparing the output here. So we have C. I thought that was supposed to be middle C. Why is this? The letters C through B denote middle pitches in the small octave below middle C. So you're saying this is actually below middle C. So I should expect to see that. Why would that not be middle C? To me, this would be logical for it to be middle C. But okay, sure, we'll work with that. And then it goes up to the next octave. So that's the C over here. And then do the arpeggio. All the way to three octaves above the small octave. I mean, I think they do have, probably do have names. That's probably it. Small octave. No? Small? Yeah, so the octaves do have names. I don't know how, I don't know how common these are. At least in modern context. That's a double contra, subcontra, contra, great, small, 1 line, 2 line, 3 line, 4 line, 5 line, and 6 line. Ah, okay, yeah, I guess it comes from the Helmholtz system. That makes sense. I don't know. I think I prefer the scientific notation, but sure, we'll work with that. The easiest way to enter notes is by using the relative mode. In this mode, the octave is chosen automatically by assuming that the following note is always to be placed closest to the previous note, i.e. is to be placed in the octave that is within 3 staff spaces of the previous note. We begin by entering the most elementary piece of music, a scale, in which every note within is just 1 staff space of the previous note. So instead of absolutes mode like this, where you have to indicate the exact pitches, you can just do with the relative specifier. Oh, okay, I guess. I guess that means that relative C, that means that it's going to, this is where your relative note's going to start at, as opposed to the small octave. Or wherever its starting note would be. So you have C, so that's going to be middle C, and then D, F, G, G, A, B, C. So we start at middle C, and then it decides where to place the notes. And it's going to be the D that's close, and then the E that's close, and the F that's close. And because it's a scale, it's basically just going up here. So just like that, that creates a scale. Okay. So the initial note is middle C, denoted by C. C. I'm going to call this prime. Each successive note is placed closest to the previous note. In other words, the first C is closest to C. This is closest C to middle C. The first C is the closest C to middle C. So it's relative to middle C, I think, then? Or is this the closest to middle C? No, okay. I guess if you don't specify anything, it's relative to middle C. Okay. This is followed by closest D to the previous notes. We can create melodies that have larger intervals, still using only relative mode. So we can do D, F, A, G, C, B, F, D. And we should expect to see that, which matches that. In the previous example, the first notes, the D, the one with the prime mark, is the D in the octave starting from middle C and going up to B. By adding or removing quotes or commas from the first note, we can change the starting octave. So, relative. E double prime, C, A, C. And so it does start from there. Or is the first one just absolute? I think the first one might just have to be absolute. The first one, I guess, is an absolute pitch, and then everything else can be relative from there. Relative mode can be confusing initially, but is the easiest way to enter most melodies. Let us see how this relative calculation works in practice. Starting from a B, which is on the middle line in a treble clef, you can reach a C, D, and E within 3 staff spaces going up, and an A, G, F within 3 staff spaces going down. So if the note following a B is a C, a D, or an E, it is assumed to be above the B, and an A, G, or F is assumed to be below. Okay, so now we can type all this stuff out. Relative, so I see the percent sign is a comma, or sorry, is a comment in this syntax, which is also pretty similar to what's in LaTeX as well, because they also use a percent sign. Right? I think they do. So be above the star. Yeah, this here. Correct. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because C down there is with one apostrophe. So be C, be D, be E, be A, be G, and then be F. So we got BC, BD, BE, BA, BG, and then BF. So as shown, it is all above the staff and then all below staff. And then if you want anything else, I assume you'd have to specify more, which I guess we'll get here. Exactly the same thing. Exactly the same happens even when any of these notes are sharpened or flattened. Accidentals are totally ignored in calculation of the relative position. Precisely the same staff space counting is done from a note at any other position on the staff. So I think this might actually be the same logic that MuseScore uses when entering notes. So for example, we have B. What was it? BC. BD, BE, BA, BG, and BF. Yeah, so that produces the exact same thing. So I think that actually gives me a little bit more clarity on how this works. Because sometimes I do. For example, if I'm at here, no, that actually makes that stuff fine. Whenever I'm doing octaves, sometimes I do have to move it up an octave or whatever. Like if I want to go up like that, I'd have to move that up. And that's because this is actually farther away from the previous note than this one. So that actually does make sense. To add intervals that are larger than 3 staff spaces, we can raise the octave by adding a single quote or apostrophe to the note name. We can lower the octave by adding a comma to the note name. Okay, so then indeed only the first one is the absolute one, and then everything else that follows is relative. Where you have the apostrophes as octave raisers, and then the commas as octave lowers. But that does mean you have to keep in mind where you are in the staff. And by lowering it, by lowering the note here, so say, oh no, I guess we'll demonstrate here. So I assume what'll happen, we can play around with this. So that looks like as it should. So we have a we have the A above middle C as the primary, as the anchor note, and then it goes down one octave lower, which we see in the comma here, and then if it were just C, it would actually go here and add middle C, but since we told it to go up an octave, it actually goes up an octave, and then the F, which would normally be placed here, is now down here because we told it to go down an octave, and then G, which is normal, that's where that is, and then G 2 octaves up, as we have the double prime here, and then the A, which would normally be up here, is now 2 octaves down because of the double comma, and then we have F an octave up, and it would normally be over here. So I'm going to play around with this a little bit and say that if we have, we're going to get rid of all of these ones here. Alright, so then if you lower this by 2 octaves, say, the rest of it is also going to get lowered. Yeah. So I think you do have to be careful if you end up, say, in a situation like this where the note gets input there, and you had already kept writing like that. If you want to raise this one up here, then you have to be careful to lower this one as well, because otherwise what would happen is it would go up like that and raise the entire score by an octave. Durations, rhythms. The duration of a note is specified by a number after the note name, 1 for whole notes, 2 for half notes, 4 for quarter notes, and so on. Beams are added automatically. If you do not specify duration, the previous duration is used for the next note. The duration of the first note defaults to a quarter note. Okay. As we've seen earlier. So we go into relative pitch mode. A above middle C 1, so we have a whole note there. A2, A4, A8, and A again. So we have a half note, a quarter note, an eighth note, another eighth note. Because this carries forward. A16, and then we have multiple A's. A32, so that's 16th note and the 32nd note. A64, that's 64th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then cap it off with a whole note. I think LilyPond can actually go insanely granular for this. Yeah. Let me see, what was it? So I put this in the Discord at some point. LilyPond. Yeah, okay, I got it. Minimum possible duration. Shower complete, what's new? We have learned what the relative means. And it means that it places the notes closest to what the previous note was, with the first note as being an absolute anchor. So in this case, hold on. Yeah, so in this case here, we have relative A, no, this one. Relative B, so this is the B above middle C, and that'll be this one here. So you have B, C, B, D, B, E, all above the staff, or above the previous note, because those are the closest. And then everything else is below, because that's what the closest one is. And then, somewhat confusingly, although it makes sense if you know that you're in relative mode, you can go up and down octaves using the commas and the apostrophes. But even though it looks the same as this one, the first one is an absolute specifier and the other ones are just relatives. So this would not be the same as this. In this case, this would mean the A above middle C, or yeah, the A. That's correct. The A above middle C, and then this is an A above that. But yeah, now we're checking out durations, which we have this. But I recall in the Discord that we had, we were looking at the shortest possible note that can be made, and it seems LilyPond can do up to 1073741H24 notes. So we can make one of those. I wonder if this will run. I think I need another note. It doesn't even render that. Okay, let's go 1048576. Apparently it doesn't even render that. And then 24th notes. I thought you were supposed to be able to beam. This said it handled beaming automatically. Although, hold on, I guess we need more A's. I'm not putting in 1,000 A's. But also I need to know how many A's we have. Yeah, okay, whatever. To create dotted notes, add a dot to the duration number. The duration of a dotted note must be stated explicitly, i.e. with a number. Okay. Sounds reasonable. Because it does technically change the duration. A4, A4 dots, A8, A8 dots, A16, A8 dot, A8, A4 dot. No, that seems to match what we have here. So A4, and then A, which the 4 is implied. Then we have A4 dot, which is a dotted quarter note, and then we have the 8th notes. And then A8 dot, which is the dotted 8th, the 16th to round that off. And then another 16th by an implied 16th, and then we have an 8 dot for that. And then an 8th note, and then a dotted quarter note. And so I assume we can probably also do A4 dot and then A like this. Which we should expect to see 2 dotted quarters and then a quarter, which we do. So then what happens when we leave that off? And this goes across the bar. Oh, it just lets you do that. Okay. And then what happens if we add another one? Interesting. Well, I mean, it is your responsibility as the engraver to make sure things are correct. Rest. The rest is entered just like a note with the name R. Okay. I see our relative A above middle C, 4, R, R2. So we have a quarter rest as implied by this, and then a half rest, R8, so 8th rest, A, R4, followed by a quarter rest, a dotted quarter rest, and an 8th rest. As we do see here. Time signature. The time signature can be set with the /time command. So time 3-4. LilyPond involves Metapond some capacity. Oh, interesting. Metapond is the font system that LaTeX uses, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Time 6-8. A 4 dots. A time 4-4. A4, A. And indeed, that is what we see. So we have 4 quarter notes, and then 2 dotted quarters, and then 4 quarter notes in 4/4. But interesting that it uses the common time symbol instead of 4/4. I think there should be a way to force that to be 4/4, but they don't tell us here yet. Tempo marks. Tempo indication and metronome mark can be set with the tempo command. So if we have relative time 3-4, tempo andante, A above middle C 4, A, so that's 3 quarter notes, time 6-8, tempo 4 dot equals 96, A4, A time 4/4, tempo presto 4 equals 120, A4, A. So we have an andante tempo marking here. With in 3/4 we have 3 quarter notes, and then we switch to 6/8 where a dotted quarter is 96 beats per minute, and then we have 2 dotted quarters here. And then we switch to 4/4 where presto and 4 is 120 beats per minute. That is not presto. That is moderato. Okay, whatever. New page? Oh, I didn't save. Yeah, there it is. This looks a little bit large for my liking, but sure. Clef. The clef can be set using the clef command. I wonder what kind of exotic clefs they have available. Treble C1, clef alto C1, clef tenor C1, clef bass C1. Interesting that it has to say 1 every time. It probably doesn't. We could try it without. but it does produce the clefs. So what happens if we don't do that? And actually, interestingly enough, oh no, it's the same note every time. So it's the same note every time, and it is in relative mode. So this is middle C every time, just on different clefs. So here it is on the alto clef, and then the tenor clef, and the bass clef in their respective positions. So if we remove that, I expect to see the same thing. Yeah, so the ones there were redundant. Altogether, relative clef bass time 3/4, tempo andante 4 equals 120, C 1 octave down, half note, E 8th note, C octave up, G octave up, dotted half, F quarter, E D, C quarter, C octave down, and then rest. I think the 4 here is probably redundant, but in terms of neatness, I guess this makes sense. What I'm getting here is that it is customary to have one measure per line. Organizationally, at least, it makes sense to do that. So just match this with the output here. That does look correct. Okay. Working on input files. LilyPond input files are similar to source files in many common programming languages. They contain a version statement, are case sensitive, and whitespace is generally ignored. Expressions are formed using with curly braces, and comments are denoted with percent or percent in braces. Okay, so we have multi-line comments. This is nice. Do they nest? We can test that out. With comment syntaxes that are like this, they often do nest. So I fully expect it to. But we will find out because we can add this, and we put this here. Oh, don't do that. And if it recognizes it, then it doesn't nest. Based on syntax highlighting, it looks like it probably does not nest. Okay. Good to know. Every LilyPond file should contain a version statement. A version statement is a line that describes the version of LilyPond for which the file was written, as in the following example, 224.4. By convention, the version statement is placed at the top of the LilyPond file. The version statement is important, or at least two reasons. First, it allows automatic updating of the input file as LilyPond syntax changes. Second, it describes the version of LilyPond needed to compile the file. If the version statement is omitted from the input file, LilyPond prints a warning during the compilation of the file. I don't know how I feel about this specifically. Maybe up to the minor version, but the patch version seems a little bit... I mean, I guess the output could change in the patch version. So, sure. But I also don't know how I feel about updating this every time I update LilyPond. Case sensitive. It matters whether you enter a letter in lowercase, ABST, or uppercase, ABST in caps. Notes are lowercase as valid inputs. CDE in uppercase produces an error message. White space insensitive. It does not matter how many spaces or tabs in your lines you add. That means the same thing as this, or this here. Of course, the previous example is hard to read. A good rule of thumb is to indent code blocks with 2 spaces. I would say skill issue on this part, but it's, no, that is true. However, whitespace is required to separate many syntactical elements from others. In other words, whitespace can always be added, but not always eliminated. Since missing whitespace can give rise to strange errors, it is advisable to always insert whitespace before and after every semantic or syntactic element. For example, before and after every curly brace. Expressions. Every piece of LilyPond input needs to have curly braces placed around the inputs. These braces tell LilyPonds that the input is a single music expression, just like parentheses in mathematics. The braces should be surrounded by a space unless they are at the beginning or end of the line to avoid ambiguities. A LilyPond command is followed by a simple expression in braces, such as relative, and the braces also counts as a single music expression. Okay. Comments. A comment is a remark for the human reader of the music inputs. It is ignored while parsing, so it has no effect on the printed output, as comments generally do. 2 types of comments: percent symbol, single line, and block comment for this. Block comments do not nest, as we have already found out. If you try the first end marker will terminate both block comments. Yeah, so we had explored that. Dealing with errors. Part of me wants to skip this. Actually, we're gonna go through this anyway. Troubleshooting, and this is in another page on usage. I don't think we need to look at this. If we run into any problems, I think we can go visit that. And then common errors, also in the usage doc. Music runs off page, extra staff appears. Okay. I'll probably skip that, that's fine. How to read the manuals, which I don't know why it's all the way down here, but okay. LilyPond must be surrounded by these marks, but short examples are okay. Short clickable examples. You can actually click these, and then they open as LilyPond files. Okay. Generated by LilyPond book. Say. Cutting and pasting everything in the ly snippet section. You have a starting template for experiments. So this bit here. Or start cut and pastable section, I guess here. Okay. Before trying to do anything, see tutorial, which I think we did. Yes, that was number 2. And common notation, which I think we already... Oh, that's next. Okay. If you encounter musical terms which you do not recognize, please look them up in Music Glossary. Before trying to write a complete piece of music, see fundamental concepts of this manual. After that, you may want to look at the relevant sections of the notation reference. That is this number 4. A notation reference is a completely separate doc. Okay. Before trying to change default output, see tweaking output in this manual. That's number 5. And before undertaking a large project, read the usage documents, suggestions for writing files. And that is in the other doc. I'm starting to feel like my voice is giving out. I might consider ending that today. So we might actually have more of these streams in the future, because we didn't actually get very far, but I think we did cover a lot of good material, because at least I do understand the basics of how this is. And so I can actually write stuff now. Although it would be I think it would be too... What's the word I'm looking for? It's not conceited. I'd be overconfident if I would say I can transcribe... Actually, hold on. I might actually be able to transcribe something. Because the musical telephone... Oh no, we have chords. No, but we learned how to write chords. So I might actually be able to transcribe this. I think everything that's in here we've already seen in one form or another. So why don't we try this one first? And then we can end it off there. Because the other one that I was considering of transcribing, which is actually probably simpler than that one, flowers, which I haven't released anywhere yet. This was a thing that I had come up with in an afternoon. Some of the Discord members who are in the tenure channels have seen this already, but yeah, that's not out yet. But we can attempt to do this. And actually, MuseScore has MuseScore does have LilyPond export, or at least it used to. They might have gotten rid of that in MuseScore 4. But we can give this a shot and see what we can do with this. Musical telephone.ly. So, as it said, we should start with a version number. Version 2.24.4. Yes. And then it starts with this, not that. We're going to put this in relative mode. And then this is going to be C, it's going to be at middle C. And that's going to be 8. D, G, E, A, G, E, G. And then we have G, C. We're going to see how that renders. I think we should be okay, because it's 3 staff spaces. So yeah, actually that should be okay. C, D, C, and then G. That's going to need to go up an octave. That's going to be 2. I think. We'll find out. Actually, now I'm going to need to render this one, because I don't actually know where we are. Musical telephone. Not, it's the wrong one. PDF. Okay, so at least I have the intuition for that. That's good. We still haven't learned how to make this 4/4 instead of common time, but it means the same thing, so it's fine. And then E starts slur. D, actually E8 starts slur. D, C, D, end slur. And then C8 dots. So we're over here. We haven't learned how to tie yet. I'm gonna assume that's a T. B16. Or actually I'm going to guess as that. It's that. B8A. And we'll see if this compiles, which I don't expect it to. Okay. Now we figure out how to tie. Just for this once. I think we did actually may have seen this earlier. So maybe we could have figured that out without doing that. So I do remember. I think I did remember. No, don't do that. Yeah, I think I do remember seeing that. It's right there. So we did see that earlier then. I would do it this way, because it makes sense to tie it like that. But I think convention says to do this. Without the space makes more sense to me, but if that's the LilyPond convention, I have a space then, so be it. And then we have A8, and then C16, and then B, G, A8 again, then C16, B16, or it's already there, G, C8, E, C16, and then E16 again. So we should expect to see that. And I think that actually looks correct. Interesting how the heights of the or rather how the bar or the beams are arranged differently compared to how MuseScore does it. I don't know which one I like better. And then we have we did learn how to create chords. It's using these ones here. So we have this as G, but down below an octave, and then C with this G4 below, and then we have B, no, this G8, you know, B, and then F, and then another one. This is going to be F4, and then B. And then R8. Nope, we're missing one. This is F8 dots. Not dot, this is dash S. S dot dash dot. That's for staccato. And R8, and then a big chord of B, D, D, F, A. Okay, that should look correct. No, that's not correct. Errors found ignoring music expression. Which one? Syntax error, unexpected, unsigned. Is it here? G8 below. Does this have to be here? I don't think so. $17. Okay, what do we have for chords here? They didn't show us what to do for chords. That one. Chords. Combining notes into chords. I saw earlier how... Okay, so it has to be on the outside. That makes sense. Alright, good night. Thanks for dropping by. But yeah, it makes sense to have it on the outside because when you're creating a chord, you typically don't have multiple. Every note in the chord is typically going to be the same duration. This feels a little bit cramped. I will admit that. This feels a bit cramped. And I guess we go down an octave here. And then give this a staccato. Now, it could be cramped just because it's trying to fit everything onto the page. And it could be that once we add the rest of it, it should be fine. And then now we have all these the accidentals, thanks to Easy. Alright. we have F sharp, FIS, A, CIS, and then D, H, then G, B, D, and then D, F, A, C, as 16. And then we have F, A, B, D as 8 dots. And then G, C, E, G, octave higher. Actually, we might not need that. As 2. Okay, so we actually need to go up an octave. There we go. And that's what I meant earlier about if you add an octave specifier to one of the earlier notes, it's going to move everything else up, which in this case was actually useful because we needed everything up by 1. And then when we go back to simplicity here, I think that's probably going to need to go down an octave here. E8, that's F, G, C, tied to C, F or D4, and C8. See how that looks. We need to go up an octave. Actually, we need to just stay at the same octave. But that does look correct. And then we have B4, B4, G8, A, and then D4, and then C. And then we can just finish this off with C8, but we're down an octave. And then E, F, C, E, F, C, 4. And that should end it. Okay, and then now we need to figure out how to do the double bar line. Double bar line is produced by doing that. Bar line. Single bar lines are added automatically, so there's no need to add them manually. Other types of bar lines are added using bar. For example, bar double bar for a double bar line, or bar dot for ending bar line. Go ahead and do that. Aha. Okay. Time signature. What do you do 4/4? My composition professor hates C time signatures. We've got to make that 4/4. Nice. I don't want to do this though. That requires using definitions.ioy, which kind of reminds me of LaTeX packages, probably. But where's the part where it says 4/4? Ah, time signature numbered. Yes. No, I don't want to do that. It's okay. I'm not gonna deal with that. It's fine. The important part is that we have the notes. We have the notes all written out, and it actually does look pretty close to what we have here. But the notes are all correct at least. So that's nice. Very good. Alright, I think we'll end it there for today. It is a bit of a shorter stream today, but we also did go a little bit longer yesterday. And I have stuff to do that I need to finish before tomorrow. We'll see if that happens. Today is Thursday. I'm not streaming tomorrow because I am going to be away doing stuff. Schedule will be out sometime next week-ish. It is Canadian Thanksgiving, so there might be stuff happening over the weekend. There'll definitely be stuff happening over the weekend, which may delay me putting out a schedule, but, you know, when has that... when have I ever put out a schedule on time? Well, I actually did do that this week. But importantly, next week is going to be my anniversary on the 16th. So there will be at least a stream there and possibly a few others during that week as well. And likely also related streams the week after, because I don't think I'm going to be able to fit everything in the 1 week because of the stuff that's happening. Okay. For those of you who aren't in the Discord, we do have a Discord. We have channels for both programming and for music. This falls under both, although I think this is more strictly music than programming. So if you'd like to join that, we do have that. We'll do more of this because I think there's a whole lot of tutorial left to go through. I don't know how much of it will be practical for what I want to transcribe possibly as an exercise, but we'll make it work. Okay. For anyone who's new here, my name is Penbu, the programming, puzzle gaming, and music making VTuber on Linux. Today we have been working with LilyPond, the text-based music format for music engraving. This might come in handy, probably. We'll see. Okay, that's it. Thanks for coming, and for those of you on Twitch, stick around. We're gonna find someone to raid. I think I have someone in mind, so I won't have to stick around for too long. But for everyone else, we'll see you next time, and good night. Bye. I did say I wouldn't take so long, but I'm just making extra sure that there aren't any VTubers doing sheet music, because that is a thing that would take priority here. Speaking of which, we do have a server for sheet music VTubers. So if you want to see more of this stuff, and watch other VTubers do composition, arranging, transcription, whatever else that we do with sheet music, you can join the Sheet Music VTuber Collective Discord and find the rest of us. Okay, I don't see anyone else doing sheet music, so we're going to pay visits to Yuki. She does music-wise, is it described as demo scene stuff? Not quite sure. But she does hardware and retro. She's designing her own board system, something. She's working in DOS at some point. A lot of old stuff. It's very interesting stuff. She's playing Distance right now. It's a racing game. Yeah. Okay. I'll drop you off there. But here is the rate message if you'd like to participate. And go ahead and copy that and paste it in when we get there. And then, yeah, that's it. We'll see you next time. Night chat. Bye.